Powered by Riverside FM.
Okay, so our next guest is an absolute Browns god. He was inducted into the Cleveland Browns Legends program in 2020. His career statistics include 110 receptions, 1,175 receiving yards, 13,448 total return yards, 20 total touchdowns, three-time Pro Bowler, first-team All-Pro in 2009, second-team All-Pro in 2007, NFL kickoff return yards leader in 2007, the NFL 2000s All-Decade Team, and a future Hall of Famer, one of the greatest returners that has ever lived, and an all-around great guy. Here he is. Everybody welcome Josh Cribbs. All right,
That's
Josh.
Introduction.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us,
guys. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it. We know you're a busy man, so thank you for your time. And before we get started here, and get into some of the questions that we have for you, we do want to talk about something here. We're very excited about this. You're going to be on the Browns fan cruise in March of 2024. Yes, sir. The Joshua Cribbs will be there. So we have to say, being that we are brought to you by Seaside Events, who is putting on the Browns fan cruise, and we will be on that fan cruise, emceeing several events on that fan cruise. We're really looking forward to sharing the fan cruise with a legend such as yourself. So can you tell our listeners a little bit about that fan cruise?
Yes, I'm excited about it, actually, to be able to, be on a luxurious boat, to cruise around the Caribbean with Browns fans, with like people, and to have fun, to genuinely have fun all day, every day. There's a lot of scheduled events that fans can interact with alumni legends like myself. And I'm looking forward to hearing those stories that I have to cut short sometimes in the autograph line, or when you meet a fan out there in public and they want to, tell you these things and you don't have the time, or they feel uncomfortable. Well, this is that time and place that we can both, as a fan and as former players, can just unwind. They could tell us their favorite memories. We could tell them our favorite stories on the field. And it's geared around just that experience, but in the greatest locations. I'm cruising around the Caribbean, being able to deboard, get off the boat and have such memorable times along with our fans. So then fans will have the experience of watching the great plays, our greatest touchdowns, my greatest returns, as well as our greatest toast, and having fun at the pool, or on a moped in Jamaica, or riding down the slide. So this is about creating more memories off the field with fans than just the memomories that we have in the stadium.
Hell yes. I couldn't put it better myself. I'm ready to go. Can we leave tomorrow? But no, I'm sure. We're going to get back into some things about the fan cruise later on here. But I do want to talk about you a little bit here. I want to let our listeners know a little bit about your story. So let's get into that. I know you were born kind of the Washington, D.C. area, went to Dunbar High School, if I'm not mistaken. And you actually played with an NFL legend, Vernon Davis. Is that right?
Absolutely. Born and raised in Washington, D.C., in Northeast Washington, D.C. I went to Paul Lawrence Dunbar Senior High School. Vernon Davis, he was one of several guys on my football team that was able to make it pro, as I was. He's a little younger than I am, so he was my tight end. He was a phenom, I would say, in high school as well, standing at about 6'3", 6'4" in the 10th grade, all the way on. So to be able to have a guy like that, helped us to win at least one of our championships. But we was able to win. I was 3 years in high school, was able to win 3 championships while in high school, and to earn a Division I scholarship at Kent State University.
Nice. I mean, that's pretty incredible. I don't know how you don't win championships if you got Josh Cribbs and Vernon Davis on the same offense in high school. I'm sure you guys probably played both ways in high school, didn't you? Did you play defense?
We definitely, when it mattered, since I was a quarterback, I was only able to play defense in bigger caliber games, not regular season games, but playoffs, championships, of course, and also when we played out of town in versus good opponents. So the way I got seen was we played against St. Ignatius here in Ohio, and we played at Byers Field all those years ago. And Kent State saw me. They were there for another athlete. Because at the time you had a team in St. Ignatius who was ranked like 2 or 3 in the country at the time, and they had an All-American quarterback, I believe. So a lot of scouts was out to see them, and Kent State saw me. We were able to warm up and have a practice at Kent State's indoor facility. And from that practice, they offered me a full scholarship. So they came, I would like to, I talked to the coaches and they said they went to the game to confirm what they saw in practice. And, they offered me from that practice and that game. So that's how I made it to, Ohio. That's, by way of, that game against St. Ignatius.
Well, thank God you played them. Was it your senior year, I'm assuming?
Yes, my senior year. Yep, you're correct.
Yeah, thank God for that. And I will say, you mentioned Kent State and you going to Kent State. You didn't just go to Kent State. Let me just rattle some of these school records off that you hold for Kent State. You are the all-time total offense leader with 10,839 yards, the all-time rushing touchdowns leader with 38, the all-time pass completions record holder with 616, pass attempts with 1,123, passing yardage with 7,169, touchdowns scored with 41, points scored with 246. Oh, and I'm not done. You're one of only 2 freshmen in NCAA history to both rush and pass for 1,000 yards. One of only 8 players in NCAA history to both rush and pass for 1,000 yards in at least 2 different seasons. You had your number 9 retired at Kent State. You're one of only 4 quarterbacks in NCAA history to rush for 3,500 yards and throw for 7,000 yards in your career. And you are the only player in NCAA history to lead his team in both rushing and passing in 4 different seasons.
Wow. That's impressive.
So,
I don't think I knew all of that myself.
Yeah,
there is a caveat to the freshman part. So as coming in, rushing and throwing for 1,000, I came in with a teammate. So let me tell you this: I had a wide receiver, Daryl Dowry, who was a 4-star receiver who had committed to Arizona. So Arizona's whole coaching staff got fired that year. So they were like, hey, we'll take you, but you're not high on our list. So he came to Kent State with me. And the reason why I rushed for so many yards was because I didn't know the playbook that well. So if my friend wasn't open, and I would just take off running.
Hey, well, it worked out well for you.
Yeah, it worked out. So I remember one of the receivers was mad and was like, man, I need to throw a 81, because my friends who came from Dunbar, he had number 81. So everybody was like, man, we need to wear number 81 so Cribbs would throw us the ball. Oh, my gosh. So there's a lot of stories behind that.
Yeah, and I mean, you can do you have anything else you could tell us about your time at Kent State? I mean, I know being Browns fans, I think most Browns fans living in Northeast Ohio or have at least heard of Kent State, right. One of the Division I schools in the area. And obviously it was a big deal that you ended up with the Browns, which we'll get to in a minute. But can you tell us anything else about your time at Kent State?
Yes, my teammates. One bit in particular welcomed me to NCAA football, James Harrison. And he was a linebacker for the Steelers for years. I saw him twice a year, played against him twice a year. But he was my teammate for 4 years. And it was awkward, being welcomed to NCAA football by a linebacker that's on your team in practice with a red jersey on. And it said, I thought the red jersey mean don't hit the quarterback. But James Harrison, he did not get the memo. So
that doesn't surprise me about James.
Running the option, getting hit that hard in practice as a freshman, it was eye-opening. I was confused because I thought I wasn't supposed to be getting hit. And then when I found out I wasn't supposed to get hit, I was confused to why isn't anybody doing anything about it? This can very well happen again. and nothing was done. My head coach at the time was Dean Pease. He has since went on from Kent to the Patriots. And then from there, he was at Baltimore a lot of years. And I think he finished up because he coached Vrabel when he was with the Patriots. So Vrabel hired him as his defensive coordinator, but he had some health issues, Dean Pease. And he's since, I believe, retired or doing some consultation still in the league. But, man, I got so many memories at Kent, man. I was there with Antonio Gates when he was playing basketball. He never played a down of football. He was just All-American runner-up in basketball.
You were trying to convince him to play with you guys?
Oh, definitely. Definitely tried to get him out on the field. He came out for about one practice, and then the basketball coach came right behind him to come on off this field. You come on out of here.
There won't be any of that.
No, not at all. He was able to get Kent State, the basketball team, to the Elite Eight. So, he holds records. His name is up in the rafters at Kent State as well. But, man, so much fun. I was able to get Kent State bowl eligible for the first time my freshman year after winning, I think, one game the year before. And, back then they didn't have all the bowls they have now. So I never played in a bowl. We just celebrated the fact that if we were a bigger school, we would have went to a bowl game. Now you win 6 games, everybody go to a bowl.
Yeah.
But that
so many of them.
Yes, that was not the case at Kent.
Now, it's a better time in college football, I think, when there weren't so many bowl games. As much as I love football,
it's kind of watered down.
It's kind of watered down now, yeah.
It is.
Well, it's weird, too, because you got the college football playoff, and now it's even more watered down because it's like all these other ones don't really mean anything. So what are we doing here?
Exactly. I think the whole notion of being bowl eligible and playing those exhibition games were meant for, seniors having another opportunity to show their stuff before they have an opportunity to play at the next level or to have their last game, their last hoorah. But now it's just so many.
Yeah.
There's a ton of products I've never heard about.
For sure. Yeah. Josh, so obviously you played some big time high school football and Division I college football. Was the NFL always the end goal for you, or was that kind of like at the back of your mind, like, hey, if I stay healthy and I do the right things and make the right moves, maybe, or was it always something that was just that was the end goal? Well,
let me say this: as a kid, everybody wants to go pro, right?
Oh, yeah.
Until they have to put in that work. So at each level, it wasn't in my head. At each level, it was to get to the next level. In college, in high school, it was to get Division I, get to a D1 school, or get to college and play football. My friends and I, we used to prank call each other, and they prank called me the best, and they actually got me. They pretended to be Bobby Bowden from Florida State, and they called my house on 3-way, and I was fooled. I straightened up. Was like, oh yes, coach. I remember one of my friends was like, I'm this goddamn Bobby Bowden. He had his voice down. He was like, I'm looking for Mr. Josh Crib. It was his voice. I can't reenact it, but my friends, as soon as I said something to the affirmative, like, yes, sir, coach, I heard all these different voices laughing and snickering and we got, I was just so embarrassed. But we used to prank call each other, and I used to send out a lot of, mail questionnaires to get schools excited about me, and it wasn't as easy as it is now. You had to produce a VHS tape of your highlights. And then when I finally was able to have an opportunity to go to Kent State, the same thing. I didn't know I had the opportunity to play professionally until my first year, until I was playing against team, and it was easy for me. Like the level of talent. I mean, we played against West Virginia, Iowa my first year, and then again, Ohio State when they won the championship. I had 100 yards rushing, 100 yards passing. They beat our tails. I put up 14 points. We did our thing, but for me as an individual, playing the game of football was still easy for me. I had Canadian leagues already sending me mail, getting my rights, to play Canadian. So at worst, I would have played, in the CFL. So I had to switch my gears, even my major, because I was an introvert. So I didn't talk well, I didn't speak well. So I figured, I might go to play professional, so I would have to learn how to speak well and to open up. So I switched from business management to communications at that point. So it became real to me throughout my sports career at Kent that I had an opportunity to actually make this a reality. We were balling. I was having a lot of success we were beating Charlie Fry and them. I remember one game. Charlie Fry was crying. We beat him at the Rubber Bowl. He was like, "Good game, Chris." And to hear that voice, to hear his voice tremble, I was like, "Oh man, we got him." And to beat Ben Roethlisberger, my first year, we beat Miami of Ohio, the teams that were heralded as the best teams. And then, a year when I beat him, he got drafted and he left a year early. So he actually went to the Pittsburgh Steelers after getting beat by Kent State. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going pro too. And then when I was coming out, lo and behold, I wasn't drafted, of course. But we drafted the Browns, Charlie Fry. And what number did Charlie Fry get? Number 9. I'm like, wait a minute, man, we beat him. We beat him. I was looking around like, yeah, like we beat them, so it was just apparent that, the NFL was, different. They had a different metric. It was all about, I had to prove myself all over again, coming from Kent State and not being the ideal quarterback. That wasn't my dream to play quarterback at the NFL level. It was just to make it to the NFL. So I guess when life rewinds itself, I'll be more specific next time in the next lifetime. Yeah. I'll say I want to play quarterback. God,
a couple of things about that story, Josh. Specifically, you and Charlie Fry. One, you have no idea how big of a Charlie Fry fan this guy was. He was one of the
Fry
people.
Guy?
Oh yeah, he was one of the people that was Charlie Fry for Heisman. He was like, Charlie Fry. The Browns drafted him. He's going to be phenomenal. Oh,
to be fair, we had season tickets to the Zips growing up. So
we're both from Akron, Ohio. So
I went to Kent State.
Yeah, he did go to Kent State.
I'm trying to look for where they do that at. Where they go to Kent and then become huge.
I was the Zips fan first growing up, and then as I got older, I changed my ways.
I get it.
He learned.
You became smart. There you go.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Charlie Fry wasn't bad. We grew to become good friends. We used to have standoffs at the mall in Akron, Chapel Hill, I think it's called. We would have standoffs. It would be me and my lineman, and then him and his lineman. We would both walk into I wouldn't know he was there. I remember we walked into a Foot Locker or something, and him and his friends, him and his teammates were there, and they like, Chris, that's Charlie Fry. So me and Charlie met in the middle while our guys stayed behind. It was so yes, it was like a standoff, like we were like opposing powers or something, like
out of like a high school football movie.
Yes, it was something you definitely see in a movie, but we met in the middle. We was like, yeah, what's up, Charlie? He was like, yeah, what's up, Chris? Dapped it up. And then he was like, y'all in here. It was like we couldn't occupy the same space, so we had to have a treaty on who was going to occupy the Foot Locker. So since they were since they were already done, they was like, yeah, we gonna roll, and then y'all can have it after that. So we like, all right. So we stood outside.
We'll wait out
until
here.
they finished. And then they was like, yeah, we ain't gonna be long. So I brokered the treaty, and then we waited for a few minutes. The Zips exited, and then the Flashes came in to shop, to window shop some shoes using Pell Grant money. Because we didn't have no NIL deals, man.
No,
Josh, we've been doing this all season, and I've cried 3 times already. Just laughing.
Man, it was crazy, man.
no. You mentioned Chapel Hill. Chapel Hill. I don't know if you know this or not. Chapel Hill's actually closed down now. I mean, it's still kind of open. There's some stores in there, but it's not a mall anymore.
It's an industrial park.
Oh, it's an industrial park. Yeah, so it's done.
You guys shut it down
for a lot of malls, man. You know how it is. The economy changed.
Yeah, well, I think like Kenny said, I think the Kent State Golden Flashes and the Akron Zips got together. They couldn't handle it. They shut it down. They said there's too much. Too much controversy, too much conflict.
The animosity used to build too much between the Zips and the Flashes.
I don't blame them. Yeah. So you kind of mentioned it already, Josh, but it took me 4 minutes to rattle off all your records in college, and somehow after all of that, you still went undrafted in 2005. But the Browns did pick you up as an undrafted free agent. And we kind of knew right away as the season got started, and you made a pretty immediate impact on special teams that we got to steal. So can you kind of tell us about, the process going undrafted, then kind of coming onto the Browns and how you broke out with them?
Yeah, actually, I was able to, I actually coached for the Browns in 2018, and I was able to talk to one of the scouts who was in the war room when they actually got me as an undrafted free agent. And he said they all were like high-fiving, thinking I was going to go. I had different offers to go to different, teams' training camps. But since I was closer to the Browns, I figured they saw me the most. I was right up the road, making their local television. They would have more knowledge of me. But he told me, he was like, man, they know they got to steal, and they start high-fiving. And he was speaking as if more of a full circle moment. But I was kind of like, man, y'all should have drafted me, man.
Y'all tell me that.
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed. Like, oh, so y'all got to steal, huh? Y'all should have paid more. Because I remember Coach Rabisky called me, Terry Rabisky, and he offered me $5,000 to play for the Browns, to come in as a priority free agent. I must have heard 5 million because I blanked out. I started to tear a little bit. I didn't know the process. For me, that call meant you're on the team. We're going to sign you. You're on the team. I didn't know there was like a bachelor type setting to whereas we had to audition every single day, and then there's an actual rose ceremony where they cut throughout training camp. And I didn't know none of that. Wow. So throughout the whole process of training camp, I'm like, where is such and such? They was like, yeah, they cut him. I was like, we ain't had no games yet. I was like, they cutting people already. So it was all new to me that you were getting judged off of practice. They were looking at film. You were getting judged off of the meeting room. And I remember Coach Romeo Crennel looked at the room. It was like 30 guys, 30 rookies and free agents, 6 draft picks. He said, we only have room for about 2 undrafted free agents plus the 6 rookies. And I'm looking around at all those guys. I'm like, man, I'm in this number, man. I don't care what nobody say. So Romeo Crennel said, if you can go down the field, if you can beat a double vice, go down the field and make a tackle on the NFL punt returner, you got a spot on this football team. So I almost raised my hand like, man, that's me. I can do that. What's a double vice? Because I never played special teams, but I'm like, what is a double vice? First, tell me. So I didn't know the language that they use because understand, I'm a quarterback. My coaches ain't let me, play special teams. I never caught a punt return. let alone from an NFL punter. So I did all of that. Kick returns, I did all of it from scratch. So my canvas was clear. So everything that the coaches were coaching me on, it was a clean slate. I was downloading and running with their information and doing it to a T. I even called Jerry Rosberg. He went to Baltimore before he retired as a defensive special teams coordinator. I called him at home, and he was like, "Yes, sir. What you need, Mr. Crib? What you need, Josh?" And I just said, "Coach, I'm just calling you just so my name will be in your head, just so I'm not the first to leave. I really love being." And he started laughing. I was just calling to suck up and say, "Man, I really want to play in the NFL." Like I'm when I did it, I'm like, "Why did I call? Why are you doing this?" That was the voice in my head, like he's on the phone, like I'm calling a woman or something for a date. I just didn't know why I did it. I just called him, and from there, he started laughing and was like, "Oh, I got you." He was like, "I appreciate the call, man. You get a good night's rest and just make sure you study up on your playbook." And I was like, "I will, Coach." I laughed with him, a fake laugh, like, ha, 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 ha. Like,
meanwhile, you're nervous as hell. You're like, oh, God, I could get cut tomorrow.
Hell. Yes. Didn't know how to rip move. None of that. What was required, I was doing for the first time. But one thing you didn't have to teach me was how to go down and make a tackle. So I remember the first game, I'm just like a bat out of hell. Tackle inside the 20. Catching the ball, just running as hard as I can. You didn't have to tell me how to run. So that's why I excelled as a kick returner. Hey, I'm going towards the open areas, running to where there is no person. If there's a guy here, people always say, like, "Oh, you got good vision and moves." I was like, "Yeah, I just didn't want to get hit. That's all." So,
pretty simple.
I take the compliments, but if you see a linebacker run at you, try to tackle you, you're going to move too. It's going to look like a juke, but it was just me reacting. Like, "Oh, don't want to get hit. Oh, another guy. It looked like I had moves. I just didn't want to get hit." So enough of that actually landed me on the team. I had a lot of energy, though, coming out, guys. Like, it was something different for me. Again, it seemed easy for me to make tackles. I had to run around big linemen that were trying to block me as a receiver. And it was easy for me. It wasn't that easy for everybody. I remember one of the returners who was on her team last season, the previous year, was looking at me like, "You tackle too? And you a return?" I'm like, "You don't? Like, how are you still here? Like, what purpose do you have? I'm going to return. So why are you here?" Like, I just didn't understand it. So a lot of the things became easy, but it was still so very difficult, especially the interpersonal player dynamics. Like, understanding that you're coming in to take a person's job. Like, guys wasn't so forthcoming. I lined up at receiver one time, and I asked, I don't want to say his name.
That's okay.
Because he's still a friend. Yeah. I'm going to say his name anyway. He's still cool. I laugh with him. I lined up next to Dennis Northcutt, and I looked down. I was like, "Hey, Dennis." And he acted like he didn't hear me. I was like, "What's the play again?" Dennis. And I'm lined up like, I'm trying not to have my lips move so nobody else, "Dennis." And he just act like he didn't sit. He heard me. He act like he didn't hear me. So when the quarterback said hut or hike the ball, I just ran straight as fast as I could, like, nah. And surely the offensive coordinator, threw his Maurice Carthon threw his paper down on the ground and cussed me out.
Did you ever figure out what you were supposed to be running on that play?
I didn't.
To this
But let me tell you why. The plays would change depending on the defense. And I wasn't used to looking at defensive disguises at that point. This was new to me as a receiver. As a quarterback, it was a clear view. But a NFL defense disguising their coverage, they're not teaching me the plays. They're teaching the starters the plays. Terry Robisky, all the coach, they're teaching Northcutt, Andre, the starting wide receivers. Once it got to me, it was secondhand knowledge. I'm looking around people, and once I'm in the game, I know how to line up. I know what the original play is. They switched to cover 2. And my mind go blank. I'm like, the play changed. They calling audibles. I was like, don't call no audible. I just remember the play. And then I was done. I knew how to line up. Check. I knew the original play. Check. But then the defense moved. Quarterback called the audible. I wanted to come out the game. I was about to call a timeout. But it was practice.
Oh, man. So, I guess the moral of the story here is even though we believe you're a future Hall of Famer, I mean, I guess it wasn't always so easy as you were learning the playbook, especially at the wide receiver spot.
Definitely not, man. That was just, like week 1 or week 2, So, honestly, there were so many stories like that, but I had a lot of time to bury my head in the playbook. And I became so skilled at watching film, running kick returns, kickoff cover, punt cover. It became an art form to me because of how much I didn't want to be in a position to not know what was going on. So I studied and learned. It became truly a job. It was like school all over again. It was like I was going to get my master's or my PhD in football. Had to become a student of the game more so than anything because it was the highest level of sports, of football. So, for me to be the best at what I did, I had to prepare like the best.
For sure. So obviously, Coach Cornell made it pretty clear to you early on that you were going to have to scrap and fight to make the team, to anybody that was going to make that team, right? And so you were up for that challenge. But did you ever, let those guys know, like, hey, I'm pretty good throwing the ball around? Like, did you ever, like pick up a ball after a punt return at practice and just kind of just chuck it 60 yards just to let them know, like, hey, this is out here? Like,
I did. Do you know why we started running the Wildcat? The Wildcat came about because we were losing so bad, and I just started at some point throughout the year. I started writing plays down that I ran in college, and I had enough in me. I was having success enough on special teams that I could command an audience with the offensive coordinator and the head coach, for that matter. So I literally went to the offensive coordinator with about, I want to say 6 or 7 plays. And I said, look, man, and this is like week 10. I'm like, man, look, I think this will help save your job, my job. Like, here goes some foolproof plays that'll work. And honestly, we started running those plays. We started running Wildcat. They were more receptive even in my second year. Even when I went to the Jets, like, we started running the plays that I ran in college, and we called it the Flash Package after Kent State Golden Flash because I ran it. We didn't call it the Zippers. We didn't do that.
No, I mean, that's an awesome story too. Is Coach Cornell, help me help you.
Exactly. But it was to Maurice Carthon because Coach Cornell was mostly a defensive coach. So I didn't have to bring the plays to him. It was to Maurice Carthon and hoping that he was receptive enough to help me help him.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. And look, I know you played for the Browns from 2005 to 2012. You spent a lot of good years here, played a lot of great football. And I would love to talk about all of your on the field stories. I'm sure you got about 1 million of them that you could tell us, but that's why these people got to come on the Browns fan crew so they could hear more.
Exactly.
But what I do want to exactly, and then they'll be even wilder.
Yeah,
that's right.
But what I do want to ask you. What I do want to ask you right now is I just know, spending time with the franchise and being with them, especially for that long. I mean, that's a long time in the NFL to be with one team. You start to become involved with not only your teammates off the field and become close friends with them, but also your community. and you start meeting a lot of people out there. So do you have a favorite off the field memory from the time you were in Cleveland or even up to now? I know you're still local, so.
Yeah, I have a ton of memories. Just a few quick ones is, fans, at restaurants, fans would buy my food, cover my tab. I'm the NFL athlete, but we had, that's our fan base, like paying my tab. And I remember me at certain times going to try to pay my bill, and they said, "Oh, don't mind. It's already been taken care of. That table right there." And it was just a bunch of guys like, "Ooh, ooh, 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 we got you, man." Hey. And I'm like, "Damn!" I'm like, I should have. And I always will say this as a joke. I should have ordered more food. Gas stations, guys, Browns fans at gas stations. I pull up, they like, "What? Crib? Oh, no. Take their card and put it in my gas pump to pay for me gas." I mean, remarkable. And one of my greatest memories is us being 6-10, but the last game we were beating the Steelers. So they invited us to the Cavs game and put us on the floor, on the wood, and then put us on the Jumbotron. And it was as if we had won the playoff game or the Super Bowl. The stadium erupted just because we beat the Steelers. We didn't even make the playoffs. We were 6-10, but it was all right with our Dogs fans because we beat the brakes off of the Steelers, and we had thwarted them from getting into the playoffs. So I guess that was enough. But I have so many memories like that around Cleveland, and not being a rep, born and raised here, not being originally from Cleveland. I actually, once I left, I played briefly for the Raiders, Jets, and Colts. I got homesick from Cleveland, and it was the funniest thing. Like nothing moved right, whether it's the people or the place I was at. It just didn't feel right. I just was, eerie feeling, no pun intended, because of Lake Erie right there. But there was an unsettling. So I got homesick from Cleveland. So I came on back and I made this my home, man. And that was, so I don't understand I understand the cold and everything, but this is an awesome place to raise a family. All the seasons. My daughter, she loved, the snow. And yes, it stays too long when it comes. The winter overstays its welcome, but we've loved Cleveland, man. And so I wouldn't regret it for the world.
That's awesome. No, and we do. To your point, Browns fans love the Browns as much as we like to criticize, and as much as we like to, Monday morning quarterback or Monday morning coach. Even when we're upset. If we saw one of our favorite Browns players out there, we're going nuts because we love our Browns.
There's something different about it.
Yeah, and so again, Josh, I know you're a fan favorite with the Browns and an absolute stud to our generation. Like I said before, I believe, and all of us here at Burning River Sportscast believe you're a future Hall of Famer, and we're going to speak that into existence.
Absolutely.
But for most guys, they get sort of this whole second life after football. And I'll be honest with you, it seems like you're living your best life. So can you tell us what you're up to these days?
I'm up to everything. For me, at first I'm a dad. So I'm a dad of a junior in college. I have a daughter. My oldest is a daughter. She's a junior at college in North Carolina. I love being a dad. I love blocking her from her boyfriend a lot and making it hard for her. Not because I really mean it, but because I get to do that. So
you're a dad.
Because I'm a dad. I make them stay here. I make her bring them back to Cleveland. And when they try to get time alone, like they'll go in the basement, I keep walking around the steps. to
don't matter how old you are.
Yeah. I don't even want nothing. I just make it hard for them to. But anyway, I have a 14-year-old son. He's in sports. And I just love pouring into him as a father, but as a coach as well. And My wife and I, we used to have a TV show, Cribs in the CLE. Now we have our own live podcast that's on Bally's Network. They come on before the Guardians games, before Cavs games on Bally's Network. We enjoy that so much. That's the way of the world. Streaming, being able to do podcasts like you guys are doing now, video podcasts. It's so much more personable. I get to interact with the fans more, talk to them, allow fans to come on the show, have fun. We shoot and film right at Burke Lakefront Airport. That's our studio. We're expanding so much, and we just love it, man. We have a good group of people down there, Big Play Studios, and it's all Cleveland. A lot of history down there. It's a mural on the wall that's speaking into fruition my Hall of Fame campaign. It says Josh Cribbs to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I've been nominated 4 times. Rightfully so. I have no problem, with my plugs, my shameless plugs. When you mention great returners, you mention me. But one thing I have over other returners, I covered as well. When I made the Pro Bowl as a returner, I was also a first alternate as a cover guy because you couldn't make it at 2 positions. And I think that's very important because nobody has ever done that. Nobody has done it both at the highest of levels. And to be an all-decade, there's not a lot. So putting my name out there when you speak of Hall of Famers, I'm blessed. I'm honored to have come from so far to where I am now. But I'm doing so much. I'm out there in the community. I'm still attached to the Browns organization. They have me speak on their behalf and attend corporate events and engagements on their behalf. Community service. Cribbs loves the kids. I'm out there helping the youth. My foundation, Team Cribbs organization, as well as Salvation Army, I help other foundations who are starting out become bigger or meet their financial or community goals. So that's what my foundation, is based on. No cause left behind. So wherever we meet and decide there's a need, we try to fill it as a community, as a foundation.
That's awesome. And obviously, like I said, a huge name. We all know who you are around Cleveland. So
did I say my name? Our show is called The Return. The Return on Big Play Big Play Network. The Return. So
great name for Twitter. A show, by the way.
Right.
Absolutely. I wonder where they came up with that.
Exactly. We stream on Twitter every Tuesday at 7. We go live on Twitter and Facebook. And then it airs on TV 3 times a week on Bally.
Very nice.
We'll have to let everybody know over there on your show, because I'm sure, let's be honest, your show is a little bit bigger than our show. Let them know that you run this dope podcast too. But
I'm going to let them know. I'm going to let them know tomorrow.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
But no, for us all.
Exactly. Everybody in Cleveland could talk about the Browns, and there still wouldn't be enough coverage on the Browns.
Exactly. I rifle between everybody. I sift through a lot of. I comment. I love interacting with true Browns fans and podcasts.
Yeah, we do too, and we really appreciate that. And I will say this: some of your talk about events that you're doing, especially for the Browns and things, it kind of is a good segue here because I'm going to bring things back a little bit to what we talked about at the beginning of the interview here. The time we're going to spend on the open ocean in March of 2024, as well as a couple amazing stops along the way. So let's talk about some of the things everyone should look forward to on the Browns Fan Cruise. I know you mentioned a couple things we're doing. Did you have one event in particular or that is going to be happening on the Browns Fan Cruise that you're looking forward to?
There's no one event that I'm specifically looking forward to. I'm just looking forward to the cruise itself, because we're going to be on there. There's going to be a ton of Browns fans. It's not as if I'm there. If a Browns fan is on, they won't be able to meet and talk to a lot of alumni and have real experiences while mostly having fun. The atmosphere that we're going to have, so I'm really looking forward, not truly the events, but running into fans while I'm going to the pool. Running into fans while I'm going to play shuffleboard or something, or at the bar, having a drink. those are more the more organic meetings that I'm looking forward to. I remember when the Browns had the London game, I was able to attend the game in London, and me meeting Browns fans out at the bars. Genuinely, that was one of the greatest experiences I had. Like having fun, being able to have a drink with a true dog, and just talk about memories and the past and the future, and complain and drink some more, and then forget about it all in the morning.
It's amazing how easily talking Browns and drinking go together.
It's like you gotta do that. You can't do it. When you're talking about Browns, you gotta be like, wait a minute, my drink is on the way. Hold on.
Exactly. No, but I do know that one thing that the Browns fan cruise had going was that it just wrapped up not too long ago. They had a competition for the Browns backers organizations out there. And so basically the winner will be announced soon, but what the winner gets is the chapter with the most bookings is going to get an all expenses paid balcony cabin for 2 on the Browns fan cruise. The chapter with the highest members to bookings ratio also gets an all expenses paid ocean view cabin for 2. All members of the winning chapter will receive a specialty dining pass for 2 guests, and all members of the winning chapter will receive a Browns fan cruise commemorative Cleveland Browns autographed football. So with all that in mind, and all the effort that these Browns...
I might need to start signing people up too.
Yeah, for all the effort that the Browns backers kind of put in to get signed up and to come along with us on the Browns fan cruise, do you have anything you want to say to Browns backers across the nation? And you mentioned Germany, across the world as well. I know they have some over there.
Yes, man. We have the greatest fan base in the world. I didn't know how great it was until I dove into, the Dog Pound Nation, all of our Browns backers from year one, going to San Francisco, being able to travel as a rookie and meeting just so many people from all across the country and then the world, who are Browns fans. We are truly everywhere, from Vegas, from Cleveland to London to Germany. We're everywhere. Politicians. Condoleezza Rice is a Browns fan. She owns minority ownership in who we just played.
Denver.
Going to Denver. She owns a minority ownership, but she's a huge Browns fan. She had an ad where she was wearing my jersey. The Browns were the only network, only station that she could get as a child. So she grew up a Browns fan. So we're just, our Browns backers are everywhere. They're at every level of government. And I just, without them, I wouldn't be still in Cleveland, honestly. It's because of our nation, our fandom, how real our Browns fan. Like, we didn't have to put a hot tub in our stadium to draw fans out to the game. They have to do that.
In fact, it's super cold.
Yeah, but they have to do that. They have to create opportunity to draw fans to the game and win or lose. And there's been a lot of losing. We still have the greatest and the best fan base, and that's how you could tell. So I wanted to say thank you to him, and I can't wait to see him out in paradise.
Hell yes.
Sure.
And you mentioned getting homesick at some of these other places you played. So did you secretly look up the Browns backers in all those areas? Go to a couple, if you guys happen to have a day off, you went to a game, I'm going to go watch the Browns play.
That would have been good that back then. I did. That would have been a good idea. That's some advice you get from your mom or your dad. Like, oh, you got family out here. Won't you check out some of your family? I didn't get that advice when I was homesick. I'm a guy, man. We don't tell people we homesick. That's something you do after. You do that afterwards, after over it.
We feel it. Well, Josh, listen, we would love to sit here and talk Browns with you all day. We didn't even really get to the team this year, but that's okay. No, that's okay. That's okay. These stories were fantastic, and we're looking forward to hearing more of them in March of 2024 on the Browns fan cruise. So everybody, if you haven't got your tickets yet, you got to get them soon. If you want to be able to have an opportunity to talk to Josh Cribbs and hear some of these amazing stories, as well as, 16 other alumni. So.
Real quick, Josh, before we get off here, I know we went a little long, but do you have a final season-long prediction for this year's team?
As far as record, I think this team will muster and do what it has to do to get to a playoff berth. Beyond that, I'll be excited. But this team has been through so much. The injuries.
Yeah.
So I'm almost, as a fan, giving them a mulligan because I had so much high hopes for this team, but without the necessary talent, it's almost defeating, but I understand. As a fan, I'm like, what do we expect, with all these injuries? So I hope they do what it takes to get to a playoff berth. That I will be excited if they can get that done, but I'm giving them grace just because of all the injuries.
And that's totally fair. The laundry list of injuries is quite long.
It's very real. But again, really appreciate your time today, and we appreciate just the fact that you're a huge advocate for Northeast Ohio and the Cleveland area and the Browns so much. So thank you so much for joining us. And like Ronnie said, we can't wait to get on that cruise with you, have a few drinks, and listen to some more stories.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, guys.
Thanks, Josh.
I'm Josh Cribbs, and you're listening to Burning River Sportscast. Go Browns.